The X-15 is a joint program of the Air Force, Navy, and the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. It's designed for flight at altitudes never before achieved by a manned aircraft.
The X-15 takes its shape from experience gained in the development of supersonic planes and missiles. But it has to be better than a missile, for it carries a human pilot, and it will have to make many flights. Suspended beneath the wing of a bomber, the X-15 is airborne for launching. Arcing up in a ballistic trajectory, it passes swiftly beyond the limits of previous manned flights. Like an arrow leaving the bow, it is in free flight after its propellant burns out. For a period of possibly 4 minutes along the upper curve of its arc, the pilot is in a condition of weightlessness. This offers an opportunity to study the effects of weightlessness on minds and bodies of pilots. At the top of the X-15 arc, conventional control surfaces are almost useless because of the small amount of air pressure on them. So, ingenious reaction controls have been built into the nose and wingtips to keep the ship in proper attitudes. These jets guide the plane by pushing it in opposite reaction to their force. As the plane descends in its curving flight, it plunges back into the heavier atmosphere, where its normal controls are again practical. But this heavier atmosphere develops the fierce temperatures of the thermal thicket, the heat barrier created out of speed and friction. Gradually, the pilot maneuvers out of the ballistic trajectory and circles down for a dead stick landing. As a means of getting a man into orbit, a Super X-15 has been proposed. The Super X-15 would be ground-launched, using a powerful liquid propellant rocket booster to supply the needed thrust. The booster provides the tremendous power necessary to release the grip of gravity on the plane. As the booster burns out, it drops away, and the engine of the craft takes over to supply the added thrust to place it into orbit. At the speed he'll be traveling, our man in space will cover the distance from Cape Canaveral to the South Pole in approximately 45 minutes. When the time comes for a landing at Edwards Air Force Base, the pilot will fire retro rockets to drop out of his orbiting course. Then he begins his glide to Earth. This will be accomplished in a series of dips in and out of the heavier atmosphere. This will be necessary for a gradual slowing down and to prevent the plane from burning like a meteor. The plane will actually glow like metal in a blacksmith's forge as it plunges into the blanket of heavier air. The successful orbital flight of the Super X-15 will be an important step toward the conquest of the moon and the nearer planets. As a stepping stone to the moon and beyond, manned satellites will be used. Assembled in space, the various parts of the satellite will be delivered into orbit by space freighters. Workers taken to the location by a shuttle plane will complete the job. Due to the weightless condition that exists, men will easily be able to handle equipment which they couldn't even move on the ground. The operating crew will be boosted to the orbiting satellite, and with the aid of a precise automatic navigation system, will be put into the right place with the right speed at the right time. Then the passenger carrier will overtake the satellite and transfer the crew. Periodically, the operating crew will be relieved and fresh crews transferred into the satellite. With the transfer completed, the shuttlecraft and its pilot glide back to Earth. The satellite itself will be in perpetual motion and will stay in its orbit forever, unless it is deliberately brought down.